Hey guys, what's up? Adam back with RV Returners YouTube. So today I got a special guest with me. It's Chris Adams from RV Returners as well.
Hi.
And we're gonna do some Earth review cards.
I like Earth.
Yeah, Earth seemed like they got a pretty good amount of stuff in this set.
I think they may have gotten some of the best stuff in this set.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and kick it off with the first card. So first we have Heretic Knight Garland. He's a 7-drop, 8K with Brave. When he enters the field, choose one backup will cost 4 more opponent's control and break it.
Not good. Just because Earth already has a lot of high cost cards. They've got a lot of 5-cost forwards. They've got a couple 7-drop backups. They got a couple 6-drop backups. I just don't think this guy is good enough, especially when you have Hecaton Chair already that can get rid of a backup that costs 3 or more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this guy is like ridiculously overcosted, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think he's worth what he does.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna see play just because he's too expensive.
Oh, for sure.
So
now, if he had something that like let him reduce cost, maybe.
Yeah, maybe like a brand style thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could cheat him in with Star Sybil, maybe. Now I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, no, actually, you can't. He's one too expensive.
You can't? Oh, then he sucks.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep on going.
Next up, we have the 3-cost Ingus. He's the Warrior of Light for Earth. So he gives Warrior of Light and Earth forwards 1,000 power, other than himself, and you can duel 3 active Earth forwards or Earth backups and choose a forward and give it plus 2,000 power until the turn.
I think he's great. Giving Earth an additional Anthem effect is really good, and you can't really downplay his second ability where you can tap 3 forwards or backups to give a forward plus 2,000 power. That can be pretty relevant in a blocking situation or an attacking situation, just as a way to get over a hump if they think they've got a blocker, or if they play something that reduces your power in any way, you can just get that right back. I think he's a fine card, especially with some of the things you can do in Earth. I think he is now an Earth staple. I think he is a 2 or 3 of in any mono Earth deck.
Yeah, I definitely think he's an Earth staple now for sure. Then the fact that there's other Warrior of Lights, which we'll get to coming up soon, that are in Earth that kind of fit that theme for them, which helps them out a lot.
For sure.
And just that extra Anthem for Earth is really nice.
Yes.
And the ability that he has, I think, is just kind of like an icing kind of deal.
Absolutely.
Which is good. So.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have the boss, I guess, of Earth.
Boss Hog himself. The Duke boys ain't stopping this guy.
Yeah, so it's a 4-cost Bull. He's also a Warrior of Light. At the beginning of your attack phase, which is key, choose 2 of the following 4 actions. Choose a forward, give it Brave. Choose a forward, give it plus 2,000 power. Choose one dull forward, deal it 3,000 damage, and all forwards you control can't be chosen by EX bursts of summons and characters this turn.
Wow. Wow. This card is everything it is advertised to be. Well, first of all, he's a Warrior of Light, which can be relevant. All of those options he have are really solid. Even the deal, was it 2K or 3K to a dull forward?
3K.
That's still a very relevant effect. But the fact that you can just shut off EX bursts on damage, which a lot of decks thrive on, like, water wind decks, water decks, lightning decks. Lightning decks specifically put 7-drop Odin in to hit on burst. And Wall just says, tell your story walking. And the fact that he can just give something Brave, 2K, the card is a problem. Like it's a guy you have to deal with, and he is a card in the 4-drop slot that Earth sorely needed. You get this guy and Dodaluma on board at the same time, or this guy, Dodaluma, Ingus, or in the deck I'm running, this guy, Ingus, and the Opus 2 Light Warrior of Light. Oh man, you're off to the races.
Yeah, I think this guy's insane. Instant staple for sure. The fact that he gets his value the turn he comes in,
that's huge.
It's really, really good. So really, all you have to do is have like one other forward out that came in the turn before that can attack, and they'll get value from this guy. And then, like you said, it kind of breaks a rule not being able to target by EX burst, which is always crazy in any card game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It makes you no longer afraid to attack, and I feel like a lot of times too, if you're, this guy's out and your opponent has a clear board, you can just always name Brave and can't be targeted by EX burst. There's nothing more disheartening than seeing your opponent flip that Leviathan, flip that Chaos, flip that Odin, and it just fizzles. Like, that's part of the reason those cards are in the deck, and now you've just eliminated that value.
Yep.
It's great.
Yeah, this guy's insane. We won't spend too much more time on him. He's crazy good.
I could talk about this guy all day long. This guy's good.
So next up we have the 3-cost Botanist. It's a backup. When it comes into the field, choose one character you control, select a character with the same name in your break zone, and add it to your hand.
Also eroded recently, if
Yes,
I'm not mistaken.
Correct. So basically, the errata is that you can't grab any multi-unit cards now. So if they have that icon, and same goes for Magic Pot, they're not allowed to use those characters anymore because those characters may have different names in different languages.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, this has to grab like a unique character. Like you can't have that multi-card symbol.
Sure. Can't really think of many uses. I could see it maybe getting a card for an S ability, maybe.
Yeah.
And there's one card we'll talk about later that I think could benefit from this card, but I think the problem is there's a lot of Earth backups that just do more for you. And while I think this could be a fine one of, it's a use once kind of thing, and then it's done. I just don't think it's good enough. Maybe if it had like EX burst, if that was a burst ability, that might be good. But then that might be a little too much. So I don't know. I just don't think. But there's not a whole lot of S abilities in Earth. Now, granted, yes, this would be an X Earth splash card for sure. But as is, I just don't think it's good enough.
Yeah, my first thought for this card is Vincent, basically.
Sure.
Because those decks are very like heavy, like they want Vincents, they're gonna kill stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Vincent's kind of hitting the back a little bit.
Especially when you got 4 drops like Wall, you got a new sheriff in town.
Yeah, so I mean maybe decks like that, like you said, where you have a ton of specials. This guy's good.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, yeah, probably not gonna see too much play. So next up we have the new Carbuncle. It's a 2-cost summon. Choose one forward. It gets plus 2,000 power until end of turn. If its power has become 9,000 or less, so 9,000, if it's equal to 9,000, still happens. Return Carbuncle to your hand.
This card's good in splash decks. If you're playing Earth Wind, Earth Lightning, I think this card has an immediate impact because the guys in those elements are undersized. Now you can you can turn Alcid into an 8K. You can turn, I don't know, Onion Knight, the Lightning Onion Knight into a 8K. You could turn Ingus into a 9K and he won't die. You know what I mean? Like I think this card has a lot of utility. In Mono Earth, not so much. Just because your guys are going to be 9K already because you're running, in a cross. You've got Ingus in there. I think it's a great card that we'll see a lot of play in X-Earth decks.
Yeah, I think people are sleeping on this card, for sure. I think this card's really good. I think that, like you said, it's good in those elements where they're already understated, like ice and stuff like that. And this is like always just recurring back to your hand.
That's really good.
I think it's going to be a little bit of time before you see this sees play, but I think it will definitely see play.
Absolutely.
I think it's strong enough.
People are going to play with it a little bit.
Yeah, but it's going to, the meta's going to have to evolve a little more, I think, before you see it, but I think you will see it.
Absolutely.
Next card we have is the new 4-cost Garland. If you've received 5 points of damage or more, the cost for playing him is reduced by 3, can't become 0. Then he has an ability, put him into the break zone. During this turn, the next damage dealt to you becomes 0 instead.
So, when I first read this guy, I didn't. I was like, "Oh, cool! He's reduced cost. He's on curve 8K." But as soon as I saw this guy, first thing I thought was combo piece. This guy is just straight up a combo card. Some of the things that we've talked about and we've used. He's great with another card we'll talk about. He's great with Zodiark because he negates all of the damage that Zodiark does on that one instance. So I think he has a home in most Earth decks these days. I think as far as the various versions of Gabranth, this one might be the best.
I agree.
Just because at his very worst, at his absolute worst, he's a 4-mana 8K. He's an on-curve 4-drop that can stop a critical point of damage or just, you can block with him. All right, well, cool. You've got another attacker. I'll just negate the next point of damage. So then maybe they don't attack, and it saves you. It could save you a turn essentially. So I think this card's as advertised. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it's really strong. Definitely see play. Even outside of maybe like you said, like some combo stuff, like not necessarily Mono Earth, but even in Mono Earth, I think you could probably just jam this guy in.
Oh, absolutely.
And it won't really feel bad. So next card we have is Calbrena. It's a 4-cost monster. For 1 Earth, 1 colorless, until end of turn, Calbrena becomes a forward with 7,000 power. When Calbrena is put from the field to the break zone, return it to the field dull. You can only use this power once per turn.
So it's essentially a vanilla that you don't need Hecaton chairs for. I think that's kind of matched by the fact that it costs 2 to animate it. I just don't think it's good enough. I do think it may have a place in like Ice Earth, where like Vanille was. This essentially gives you another target for maybe Delita.
Mm-hmm.
So I think again it has some uses, but I don't think it's good enough right now anyway. And somebody proved me wrong for sure. Effects like that are always really good, but I just think if you're playing Earth, you're better off with or like Earth Ice or anything that can search up these cards. You're probably better off just playing Vanilla.
Yeah, I think Vanilla overshadows this card by a lot because, this is a monster, so it's harder to deal with than Vanille, and it doesn't cost you a Hecaton chair, but that Hecaton chair is coming from your deck, not your hand.
Yes.
So you're not losing your hand. This is costing you mana to animate every turn, so think of it like you're paying 2 mana to bring it back anyways if it's going to die.
Yeah.
7k is kind of eh. I mean, Vanilla's 7k, but she has a lot more staying power, I think, than this does. Also, monster removal kills this. You have to pay the 2 to make it a forward to get its ability.
Yep.
So, actually, if you do this on the stack, like you put this ability on the stack and they blow up your monster, you'll get blown up before this resolves and you won't return to the field at all.
Yep.
Which is interesting. I don't think it's used play really at all. I think it's too slow. Nice. And there's a lot of other things you'd rather be doing in Earth, I think.
Yeah, just not good enough.
Next up, we have Graviton. He's a 3-cost backup. When you cast an Earth Summon, choose one forward you control. It gains plus 2,000 power until end of turn.
This card is busted. This card this is one of the ones, and you'll hear about this on the most recent episode of the podcast. This is a card that I just completely overlooked until I've seen it in action. It is a mono Earth staple. I think it's an X-Earth staple. Any deck you are running Earth Summons in, you run at least one of this guy, maybe 2. The fact that he now makes your Hecaton chairs better, he makes everything better. Now, granted, Carbuncle may be the only instance where you might not run it, but you can choose a different forward. That's the thing. You just get to choose a forward. And he's searchable by Star Sybil, which is another card we'll talk about here in a little bit. I think this guy is all value. He can just put you over the top. And we had a game where we played where I was able to get over Ash by blowing up one of your backups with Hecaton chair.
Yep. And
then I got an extra 2k from it just for playing for casting the summon. It's just really, really good. The card's really, really insane.
Yeah, I think we slept on this at the beginning of the set for sure.
Big time.
I think I think like you said, in mono Earth, that you shove this in. If you have a heavy Earth package, you shove this in. The fact that it's tutorable is crazy. Even if your summon is fizzled, this still happens.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you cast it.
Yep, it's a cast trigger. Very important.
So yeah, I mean, I think this guy is really, really good. You want this backup probably almost every game.
Yep.
So definitely 100% we'll see play.
Yeah, excellent card.
Next up, we have another pretty good card.
Jesus.
Cockatrice, which is an EX burst. Choose one forward during this turn. It cannot attack or block or receive, and doesn't receive damage.
This card's borderline impressive. This card does so much for so little. You can save one of your forwards with it. You can stop one of their forwards from attacking, or this card does so much. And I'm telling you firsthand, my top 4 match in the Mason Teat Cup, I got blown out by Cockatrice because I could not get that 7th point of damage, because when I needed it the most, I got Cockatrice 3 times. This card is insane. And I can't use that word enough. But also, too, you use that in conjunction with Graviton, you just got, your guy can't attack, and now my guy's 2k bigger. Or your guy can't block, and now my guy's 2k bigger. And it's EX burst. So there's nothing worse than flipping that on the damage. Or you flip it on damage, you're like, cool, well, I'll stop your other attacker.
Yep.
It's a really, really just diverse card. And I think it's an instant 3 of in Mono Earth.
Yeah.
Or extra. Again, this is another heavy Earth package deck. 3 of, 100%.
Yeah, Earth summons are becoming really, really scary.
For sure.
This costs 1. It's crazy. It's kind of like Mateus in that regard. Like, why does this cost 1?
Yeah.
It's really versatile. Like you said, there's a lot of uses for it. I think when this first got spoiled, I was like, this card's insane, and other people are like, it might be good. Yeah, no, you're wrong. This card's crazy.
Yeah.
This card's gonna see.
And I was one of those people. I was just like, oh, this card replaces Golem, but Titan's better. Nope.
Yeah, no, this card's crazy good. And Titan got a lot better too.
Oh, Titan definitely got a lot better, but now it's like I've shifted to like 2 Titans and 3 of this guy as opposed to the other way around. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, this card's crazy. Instant, like, put in your deck, pretty much. So, next up we have 4-cost Miner. When Miner enters the field, choose a backup you control in your break zone. Add it to your hand. For 1 colorless, 1 earth, tap, put them in the break zone. Choose a forward from your break zone, put it to your hand.
Did we say that Earth got a lot of really good cards in this set? I just want to make sure we covered that, because they did, and Miner is no exception. This guy's a great turn 1 play, especially if you have another backup in your hand, because he becomes a 2-cost backup at this point. The fact that you can get you can recur forwards, which allow you, which I think this is why I think Botanist won't see play, because you do a special ability, you can just break Miner and get that card right back.
Yep.
And the fact that if you have 2 Miners, if you have 1 in your hand and then 1 in the break zone, you can just constantly loop them by getting them back with Miner's ETB trigger.
Yep.
So I think this card has a lot of value. I think it's it's multi card, which means you can have multiple out, which I don't know why you would, but you could in a pinch. This card does a lot. It essentially makes your break zone an extension of your hand, which is in this game is something that not only that it's kind of a newer concept, but it's something that Earth needed to not be so vanilla.
Yeah, I think pretty much said everything. This card's really good. I think it's instant in mono Earth, and probably something you should think about in anything that involves Earth.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because it's not restricted to just your turn. You can do that anytime, because it's, and we'll talk more about some of the stuff you can do with it here in a little bit.
Yep. So next card is the 3-cost Psycom Enforcer. When he enters the field, choose a monster 2 or less. Opponent controls, break it.
Sure. Good card. I think his relevancy is going to be dependent on how relevant monsters are. Because he can get rid of a lot. Like, especially, I think he's a great tech card against mono water, because you just slam him into. But also too, you'll bring him into play. You'll target their Tonberry. They'll respond. Like, now that I start talking through the lines with him, I don't know how good he might be, because they can just do something with that monster in response. But if it's something that's kind of situational, like maybe like a Cleone or something, it does get a Cleone out of the way, so you can now cast that Hecaton chair or something. I think most monsters just will be able to do something in response.
Yeah.
Except like Dragon or something. He's good against the monsters that become forwards.
Yeah, I think he's okay. I don't think he'll see much play. It isn't something to know that he's a standard unit, so maybe like some new standard unit build might be good with him, and you got like already got the WRO guys who are standard units. But I guess if you run into monsters a lot and they're having a cost 2 or less, this guy might be nice to shove in there. But I think they're just better cards to be putting in your deck.
Yeah, if this game had sideboards, he'd be a sideboard superstar.
He could be, yeah, for sure. Next card is the Psycom Warden. When it enters the field, you may search for 1 Psycom Warden, add it to your hand. For each card named Psycom Warden you control, Psycom Warden gains plus 2,000 power, and he's a 3-drop 3K.
Not great. By having 3 of them on the field, which is the only 3 you could have in the deck, they become an on-curve guy.
No, he counts himself.
Okay, so he's
a 9K.
Okay, so he's a 9K. I feel like the WRO guys just do that better, and they're cheaper. So I don't know, unless something crazy pops up and they get some more of this kind of a little bit more standard unit support. I just don't think they're good enough. Yeah,
I agree. I don't think this sees much play. Yeah, it requires too much, I think, for it to even be relevant.
Because you have to have all 3 of them out. That's the big thing.
Yeah, because like you said, with it's just 2, they're just both 7Ks.
Yeah, which is me. That's easily dealt with.
Next up, we have Sarah Mobius. She's an EX burst. When she enters the field, choose 1 Job Warrior of Light in your break zone and add it to your hand.
In the right deck. The more I think about it, I think she's good if you're running like the Light Warrior of Light. If you're running, if you're playing a Warrior of Light deck, which I've been putting together recently, I think she's a great card. But otherwise, probably won't see much play outside of a deck that runs heavy, clearly from the text on the card. The fact that she's burst is nice, because she's another one of those plays like Miner where you can pitch a Warrior of Light in your hand to play her, and then you just get it right back to your hand. So she does have some early turn value. But otherwise, she's a very deck-specific card.
Yeah, and once you play her, she's kind of stuck out there.
For sure.
Kind of breakable.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, I do think the Warriors of Light and Earth are seeing a fair amount of play that she could be worth it to play.
Yeah, maybe like a 1 or 2 of, maybe 1 of.
Yeah, like maybe you use the Light Warrior Light special and you play this, you get it back, and you can recur it. But you also have Minor that lets you get stuff back
and
too.
I think Minor just simply is a better card because it breaks itself.
Yeah, and it's less than Arrow; it just doesn't have the burst. But you have to pay an extra 2 to break it to get the forward,
which is fine.
But yeah, I think this card's playable in the right deck for sure. Next up, we have the 5-cost Cecil. EX Burst. When Cecil enters the field, choose 1 dull forward opponent controls. If it costs equal to or less than the amount of damage you've received, break it. And then he has a special for just S. Choose a forward, deal you 1 point of damage. If the cost of the forward is equal to or less than the damage you have received, break it.
This is the card I keep when I say we'll talk about it later. This card is slowly but surely becoming my favorite card of the set. This guy can just be a blowout. Just a straight up blowout. He's a great mid to late game play. He's a combo piece with Gabranth because he can stop the point of damage. What he does, you can come into you wait for your opponent to swing. Next turn, you drop this guy. You choose your target. You put his enter the field ability on the stack, and then you use his S to kill something else, take the point of damage. So now you're killing 2 things. And if you have another Cecil, you do it again. Or if you have a Minor you can break, you get it back, you do it again. Like, this guy can 2 for 1, 3 for 1, as long as you have the damage to give. Because I was playing a game where I was on 2 damage. I put myself to 4 by double Ceciling to kill 3 of his guys. And it felt really, really good. My opponent was unable to recover from that. So I think this card is bananas. I think he's an on curve. He's a 5K, he's a 5-drop 9K, pardon me, who just has a lot of value. And the fact that his special just costs S, that's really, really good. And this is one of those cards he's like an advanced level card because I think one of the big things in this game is knowing how to manage your damage. Mm-hmm. When to take it, when not to take it. And this is a card that will reward you for knowing how to do that.
Yeah, for sure. On top of that, he's an EX Burst.
So
when he flips, he's still doing things most of the time. The later he comes out, the better, for sure. This guy's a mid to late game beast. And he's big. So, I mean, like you said, basically when you play this guy, he's pretty much almost always 2 for 1-ing, unless you're just playing him for the body or something.
And what's great about him, especially if he gets locked down with Vayne, you're like, cool, S. I'll go ahead and kill Vayne.
Yeah.
He just gets himself out of so many pickles. This guy's just really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, his S is cheap, too. It's just literally S.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's really good. 100% sees play. Probably mostly in mono Earth, but maybe in, like, some Earth watery stuff. Yeah. Might be cool.
I think he's a very control-y kind of card. And the fact that he's just slapped on a big, dumb body that can swing, and the threat of him removing a potential blocker is always there. And then if you have Ingus in a crossout, now he's an 11K.
Yep.
He's a good card.
Yeah, this card's really, really solid. Yeah, like you said, definitely sees play. Next up, we have the 2-cost Doga. He's a backup. For 1 Earth, tap, put him in the break zone. Choose a character you control. Cannot be broken by opponent's summons or abilities that don't deal damage. And this guy's also rotted. It's only until end of turn. It's not the rest of the game.
Yep.
So, what do you think?
I think he's a good card. I think he can see some play. He's a good 1 or 2 of. I think now Earth's running into that problem that the other elements have. They've just got a lot of really good 2-cost backups, and then they have ones that are more expensive but are great 2-cost. I think this guy has a home in a lot of decks. He's just good. He's just a really solid. He's just good protection. But I think the problem is too. I feel like I'd rather, instead of breaking this back up, I'd rather just use Titan and then get the benefit from Graviton. Yeah. I think he has a great ability, and I just think there's other cards that are a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But he's playable. He's very, very playable.
Super playable. Yeah, I mean, you can make your stuff kind of unbreakable by summons and abilities that don't deal damage, so like Odin's and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard, like you said, it's kind of like a Battle Force spot, like that 2-drop backup spot, and you got the Mog and stuff like that, so kind of hard, but yeah, it's super playable card, for sure.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the 1-cost monster, Flandit. Tap, choose one forward your opponent controls. If they don't pay 1 colorless, it can't attack or block this turn.
Not good enough. I think if you're playing like an Earth Ice with maybe like a heavy discard theme from the Ice, this guy could be relevant because you've stripped their hand, they're tapping out every turn, they can't pay to let their guys attack or block. But I think that requires a little too much setup, and he's going to be taking up valuable spots from, I think, just better cards, either better summons or maybe better monsters.
Yeah, I think in order for this guy to be really annoying, you have to have multiple out.
Yes.
To be honest, so that way you're just like, choose a guy. Okay, you want to pay 1? Sure, you paid 1. Choose the same guy.
Yep.
And now basically you have to pay 3 for your stuff to work.
Well, and what sucks is because his name isn't Flan, you can't use the Ice Flan to search for him.
Yeah, and I think they did that on purpose.
Oh, of course, because I think again it goes back to the whole Ice Earth thing. If you could find a way to make that work, I think you'd be onto something there. But it's just otherwise, I just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough either. Yeah. But I mean, it could be interesting if you want to have fun with it. Could be a cool thing to make.
Sure.
Annoy your opponent.
Sure.
Maybe a new addition to the tax deck. Maybe you go Earth Ice instead of Fire Ice. I don't know.
No, yeah.
But I mean, I like you said, I don't think it's good enough to be honest. Next up, we have the 4-cost Berserker. Berserker can't block, and he's a 9K.
There's just too many better 4-drops.
Yeah,
is he a standard unit? Which could
is a standard
could be
unit.
relevant, but
I think he's bad. He's not doing enough.
Yeah.
And he can't block, so his big body kind of just makes it where he's only an attacker, but he has nothing else supporting his ability to attack other than the fact that he's 1K bigger.
Yeah.
I think he's just bad.
Yeah, not good enough.
Yeah, like I said, he is a Tactics Advance 2 character. You want to go down that road?
Yeah.
Maybe you're trying to play some janky multicolor
Wind Earth, maybe. Yeah.
We'll see, but I don't think he's good enough.
Nah.
Next up, we have another 1-cost monster, the Hill Gigas. When a character opponent controls uses an action ability, put Hill Gigas in the break zone. If you do, cancel its effect and break that character.
Card's good, very situational. Again, don't think it's good enough. This is another one of those cards that if the game had sideboards, he'd be a great mono earth sideboard card. Unless the meta does start to shift where it's seeing a lot more cards that have those type of abilities, I think he sees play them. But otherwise, I think you're taking away valuable spots in a deck that's becoming tighter. Mono earth is now starting to have that problem that mono water's been having, that mono wind has been having. The spots are getting tight, and I just don't think he's good.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just not good enough for a card slot in your deck. He can do something that's really cool, and it can turn the tide of the game to prevent them from using ability unless they want their stuff to break.
Now, I will say this. I think he fits right in the Surf and Turf in the Water Monsters Earth deck. I think he's a great 1 or 2 of because he can stop certain monster activations. He just gives you another little added layer of protection. I think he helps Gal out. Gal can get him back. So I think in that deck he might be...
Sure, for sure. Yeah, the one, the Water Earthy one. But I think Water Wind might just be better this time. But, I mean, that's a different subject.
For sure.
But yeah, in that specific deck, yeah, I could see it, for sure. And if its effect does get off, I mean, that feels really good. You're breaking something for 1 mana.
Mm-hmm.
This could be nice.
But it is another one of those ones that it just triggers.
Yep.
It's not a May.
You got no control.
Which they could just use some stupid ability.
And it does have to be an action ability. It can't be a special or an auto.
Right, and on the plus side, it does hit backups.
It does hit backups.
Backups, monsters, so it's fine.
Yeah. Next card we have is Star Sybil. She's an EX Burst. She enters the field. You can search for one Category 11 character other than her, but add it to your hand. For tap and break, she can play 1/4, cost 6 or less from your hand onto the field, and you can only use this ability during your turn.
I think this card's great. It's great in Mono Earth because it tutors up your Shantotos, it tutors up your Gravitons, it can grab your Comlanauts. There's a lot of 11 cards now that this thing can grab. And the fact that you can just play a dude for free. I've gotten the value out of doing this than playing Cecil for free, then I'm off to the races again. You know what I mean? Dropping another card, and we'll talk about here in a little bit. Dropping just being able to put something into play for free and searching something, and it's also EX burst. So I think being able to have tutors for giving Earth the option to start searching their deck for things has made them pretty relevant again. And I think this card is a good. In my deck, I run 1, but I could easily see 2. I think 2 is a good number because it is expensive. Unless you're playing Earth Wind and you're using, I can never remember the name, but the archer that makes it cost 3.
Yep.
But really, are you saving anything? Because you had to pay 3 for that one. Now you're paying 3 for this one. So
you're only really saving if you play multiple star symbols.
Yeah. I think it's a great card. I think it's a at least minimum a 1-of in most Earth decks, just because it gets you Shantoto.
Yep, and like you said, I think this card would see play if literally the EX burst was search for Shantoto, and then it's, as long as it still had its second ability.
Oh yeah.
I think at the same cost it would still see play.
Yep.
But now it searches all 11 characters, and it's characters, so that includes monsters, that includes backups and forwards. So it's really good in that regard.
Yeah.
And then it has a second ability on top of that lets you cheat things in, which is nice. I think she's really good. Like you said, I think she's at least a 1-of now in almost every Earth deck. And if not a 2-of. I've seen some decks run 3, but it might be a bit excessive, but we're not really sure yet on the numbers yet. But I think this card's really, really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up, we have the Master Monk. It's a 4-cost 8K. For 1 Earth, 1 colorless, tap, choose 2 forwards, deal them and Master Monk 4K damage.
I think he's pretty good. I think his biggest problem is he's in a very crowded space. I'd much rather just have Dodaluma sitting there. I'd much rather have Wold just sitting there.
Yep.
I'd much rather just have Gabranth sitting there. I'd like to see a deck where he works. Because I do think he's a good card. He is a standard unit, which could be relevant. But crowded space, man. I just think, again, I feel like it's a no contest with some of these better 4-drops.
Unless some Earth something standard unit deck becomes popular. I mean, yeah, he's not bad.
He's an Tactics Advanced 2 character, which could be something.
Another one, for sure. It's interesting because he can block and pay 2 and tap himself and basically trade with a 12K. But Dodaluma can do the same thing.
Yeah, without having to tap or pay anything, he just does it because he sits in front of him.
Yep. So, like I said, not like you said, not good enough. Maybe if some standard unit stuff pops up, might be good, but as of right now, not good enough.
Yep.
Next up, we have 2-cost Smog Mobius. Backup for 2 Earth, tap, break. Put your deck for 1 forward, add to your hand.
Card's great. We have a generic search card. I think it's good. Maybe not as great as I initially thought. For some reason, in my head, when I first saw this card, I thought it was a multi-card, which it isn't. Which it's fine. But the fact that you can just pay 2 to search for a forward is really, really good. I know he's a 2-of in my deck. I think 2 is the magic number on this guy because you can recur him with minor when it comes into play. And you're really just searching for something in a pinch. Like if you need to get that second Cecil to do his S ability, or you really need you're in dire straits against ice and you need to grab a guy or something to or you need that wall to put yourself over the top, or you need Light Warrior. Like he can get you any forward you need when you need it. Having that, and it's also not limited to your turn, so you can do it anytime. I think he's a great search card. Like, we'll see play. I think this card sees play in any deck that runs Earth because just the utility is too good to pass up.
Yep, I think pretty much you said everything. He's really efficient for what he does.
On top of this, man, I love his Earth cards are good.
You can, like you said, you can wait for a moment so you can get the value out of it. Just like tapping him every turn, and then you're just like, bam, go get my card, and I can get basically whatever I want. Seeing like he's cheap, he's a really good turn 1 play. I do think, we overhyped him a little bit at first when we were talking about him, but still think he's really good, really solid, and probably a staple now. Just not maybe that 3, just mash 3 of that we thought he was. Yeah. Being able to search for any forward seems pretty good.
Can't argue with it. It's just a good ability.
Yep.
Turns out decks that can search are just better.
So next card is the 3-cost Movi. She's a backup for 0. Choose 1 forward you control. It gains Brave until end of turn. You can only use this ability during your main phase and only once per turn.
I think it's a good card. I don't think it's as good as we initially thought. Because just Earth kind of naturally has a lot of Brave built in anyway. I think she's a good 1-of in some decks. But I just don't think... we really overhyped her a lot.
Yep,
I think her being able to just give something Brave for free is a good ability. It is good to have in certain situations. But sometimes you're like, you know what? I'd rather just play Graviton, or I'd rather play in a cross. Like, there's just better 3-drop backups that I'd rather get out first. And if I got 1-of in the deck and I need to pitch it, I'm pitching it. Especially if I got Wall out and just any forward or guy or any forward that has Brave, it's fine. She becomes a dead card at that point.
Yeah, I think she's better outside of Mono Earth, honestly.
Sure, absolutely.
Where it's harder to get that Brave. And it's free every turn, so you're not really spending anything. She can't break, which I guess could, like, she's taking up a slot and she's staying there. It's not going anywhere. So I mean, and like it's reusable every turn. I think she's good, but we definitely overhyped her. And we were trying to shove like 2 or 3 of her in. And that's just the wrong call.
Enough. Yeah, maybe a 1 of. Yeah. I think she's a fine card.
Yep, and like I said, I think she's better outside of Earth, and I think she will see some play.
Yeah, for sure.
Next up is Big Yang, 5 cost, 9k. Can't become dull by your opponent's summons and abilities, and if you control 5 or more Earth characters, Yang gains plus 1,000 power and Brave.
This card's stupid. So now Earth has a second guy, and just for playing the deck you're playing, he's now a 10k with Brave. So all you need is 3 backups and a forward, or 4 backups and Yang. Guess what? He's a 10k with Brave.
Yep.
That can't be dulled by your opponent's abilities.
Yeah, not much.
Or summons.
Yeah, not much really to add on to that. He's just a big dude, hard to deal with, pretty stupid. Definitely was underrated at first for sure. You just slam this guy out, he's hard to deal with.
It's one of those cards that when you look at him, he looks underwhelming. But when that guy's sitting on the table across from you, you just don't know what the hell you're going to do. Because he's big. He's just, when he hits the board, he's going to be a 10k with Brave. So, and if you have in a cross out, he's an 11k with Brave.
Yep.
So don't think he's going to be any less than that.
Yeah,
just ignore the number printed on his card.
You're pushing him forward pretty much every turn.
Pretty much. That guy's getting in them guts every turn. And then he's a good Hecaton chair target. He's just a good blocker, and this guy does it all. He's just excellent. Excellent card.
Yep, really good. Definitely overshadows the other Yangs that they released so far, and I think he 100% sees play.
And Yang and Ursula, the Yang that plays a free, total trap cards.
Yeah.
Total trap cards.
Yeah, I think you definitely just jam this guy in for sure. Next up, we have the 5 cost Lanista. It's a standard unit, forward of 7k. For each point of damage you receive, Lanista gains 1,000 power.
I like this card. I think the problem is he's in a crowded space, and I say that, which is weird because I think I would rather have Yang and Cecil. But what I like this guy, I think this is a good card in conjunction with Cecil, because now you're regulating how much damage you have, and this guy could potentially, you're sitting on 5, you could potentially have a 5-drop 12k.
Yeah.
But I just think I'd rather have Yang, who's going to be a 5-drop 11k with Brave. I think this guy is playable. I just don't know if he's good enough.
Yeah, my thing is there's the Dark Knight that already exists. It's a 4 cost, I think 5k, does the same thing. So he's 1 less, and do you really need a guy that's going to potentially be a 13k?
No, not really. It's just the fact that, you're really getting your value out of him. You're either just sitting him back to block, or you're but again, with Earth having all these options to get Brave, I think he's a good card. Like, if you don't have the Yangs or the Cecil, well, I think he really needs Cecil to really utilize his potential. I think he's worth trying if somebody wants to test that to see if that's, because who knows, he could be a blowout play after you see Cecil come in and, all right, cool, now I'm at 5 damage, cool, suck it, here's my 12k.
Yeah, I think he's really good in sealed and draft.
Oh, he was excellent. He was a superstar for me, for sure.
But yeah, I don't think he sees much play, but I don't think he's bad.
No, he's not bad, I just don't think he's good enough.
Yep.
But he could be.
It's kind of a theme of a lot of cards in this set.
For sure.
So next up, we're getting to the starter cards. We have 2-drop Ida. She's a Saiyan. For each Saiyan you control other than Ida, she gets plus 2,000 power. And when she attacks, choose a dull forward, deal a damage equal to half her power. Round down to the nearest 1,000, and she's a 2k, so she's very small.
I think it's other than Y'shtola, I think this is probably the best Scion. I think one of the things we learned today is some sort of Scion package in a Golbez deck seems really good, and this takes full advantage of that. The fact that she's a 2 cost, it's fine. Obviously, Scions are an archetype that really rely on having Scions, so. Unless you're playing a Scion deck, I think you just kind of take this card at what it is.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit before Scions become relevant because they need more support. Yida is definitely like if Scions become good, Yida's gonna be really
No,
good.
Yida's gonna be your beater every time.
The only thing that sucks about her being a 2-cost is like everything kills 2-cost cards.
Yep.
So
and also the newest it's we haven't covered this card yet, but there's that card in Lightning. I think it's Assassin. It just dulls it. You attack, dull a 2K. That's an awesome 10K Yida you have there.
Yeah,
doesn't mean nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So if Scions become a thing, definitely think about this card. But until then, just kind of put it away and probably don't think much about it. Unless you just want to build that deck that you really are like a fan of it, and you want to have that Scion deck, then sure, go ahead. But if you're trying to be competitive, I don't foresee Scions being super good right now.
Not yet.
So next up we have Papalemo. He's an EX Burst. When he enters the field, search for card in Yida, add it to your hand. And he makes cards in Yida you control deal damage. Whenever they deal damage to a forward, you increase it by 2,000. So that includes their ability and their combat damage. So
I wish this guy was a backup.
Yeah.
I think he'd be better suited to that. The fact that he's just an undercurve forward. Again, this goes back to, obviously, if you're playing Scions, he is 100% necessary. But if you're not, you just put him with Yida and the rest of the Scions, and just put him in your box or your binder, and just don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think Papalemo and Yida are what you want.
Yeah,
you want more cards like that in order for Scions to be good. There's just not enough yet, and I think that's the issue. So, again, if Scions become good and Yida's a thing, this is a thing, but it's not right now, so it's probably not getting so much play.
Not good enough.
Next up, we have Philia. She's an EX Burst. When she enters the field, search for a job sign, 7th dawn forward, add it to your hand. For 1 Earth, tap and break her. Choose 1 forward, opponent controls, break it. You can only use this ability if you control 5 or more Scion and 7th dawn.
Well, this card will 100% be the cornerstone of any Scion deck. Yep. It's removal, and it's a tutor. I think it's a really, really good card, but again, just like the last two we just talked about, you really need to have Scions. The Scion deck needs to be put together, and they really need that synergy to be good.
Yep.
But I think of the bunch, I think this one's really, really good too. I do like this card a lot, but again, once Scions get more support, I think this card will be very, very playable, and it becomes a threat, a very real threat.
Yeah, I think all the Earth Scions are good.
Oh, for sure.
The thing is, they need Scions, the deck, to be good.
Yeah, which means you need to either play Wind or pretty much you're playing Lightning because that's where the rest of the Scions are.
Yeah, only Yestolas and Wind, so it kind of sucks. So you kind of force into the Earth Lightning build right now, and there's just not enough yet.
Though, technically, you could use Star Sybil to bring that Yestola into play for free.
That's true.
So you could just... or Tama, the 2-cost Tama, to just cheat it into play. So you've got ways to include her in there, but now you're getting into jank territory at this point. So I think this card is good. When Scions become a thing, this is a 100% 3 of in that. For
sure. So that's all the cards we have for you today. That's all the Earth cards from Opus 5. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree or disagree. Put in the comments, like, favorite, subscribe, all that jazz. And then look forward to our next set review, which should be Lightning, I believe. Which I should have a guest on for that as well. So look forward to that. See you guys later.
Oh, you mean we're finally going to get Matt Jordan?
Oh, I think so, yeah.